Good morning, everyone. It's Marcy here, and welcome to the Notary Public Day Extravaganza, kicking off day 2 with my good friend, Melissa Battle, notarizing Tampa. You've probably seen her out on socials. She does an amazing job, which is why she is an NNA Influencer 2025 finalist. Congratulations, Melissa. I know it's so exciting. You do a great job out there. Um, we
So
love
funny.
we love watching your stuff. So Melissa's one of the finalists. Please make sure that you vote. We love to have her. And I don't want to spend a lot of time here chit-chatting because she's the one who has all the great information. As usual, go ahead, talk amongst yourselves in the chat. Throw any questions you have in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get them all answered at the end. But Melissa, you are good to go.
All right, guys. Thank you for taking your Saturday morning for joining us. And Marcy, thank you for putting this amazing free 99 opportunity on. We have heard so many things in the socials about how expensive it is to be a notary, and we understand the economy is crazy. This government shutdown, people are all over the place. So this was the perfect time to give back to our community. I think you do this every year, but the timing of this year just fell right on line for people. So for those of you who have taken advantage of this opportunity, you are getting yourself ahead of the game with some of the others that didn't take the opportunity. So this morning, my topic is going to be how to speak legalese, a quick start guide for notaries. And if you guys have questions, you can drop them into the comments, but the slides are going to be pretty self-explanatory. So if you have questions, we might save them to the end. So that way, if you're thinking, oh, I need to know this, I may be already going to cover it. But if not, then we'll make sure we get that answered at the end. Okay, so let's get going. Who am I? I am Melissa Battle. I am a Florida registered paralegal and notary with over 19 years experience here in Florida. I helped build and I manage a successful law firm here in Tampa, Florida, focusing on family law and personal injury cases. I am a disabled U.S. Army veteran. I'm a wifey. I'm a mom, a dog mom, all the fun things. I bring dedication, expertise, and passion to everything I do. And I'm excited to share my experience and insights with my fellow notary cousins and help you guys through your journey. So, my personal approach to mentoring and teaching things is called TIPS. And it stands for teach, inspire, partner, and strengthen. I believe those are core values in mentoring. And when we're helping each other, not just giving a hand out, but a hand up. And making sure that as we progress in our journey that we're reaching out to somebody else and helping pull them along with us. Hopefully they're willing and they want to go on this journey with you, but that's always been my approach. We're always better and we're stronger when we're in this together. Building your notary community of your village, your notary cousins, and getting to know who is really good at what and who to go to. Like if you ever need a phone a friend, who could you call with this specific type of signing or this type of question? You need to build your network around you to be able to cover all of your bases. And you also need to be a resource for someone in the event that they need help with that. So, why do I have authority to talk about this topic? This is my Florida bar profile. In the state of Florida, a long, long time ago, they decided that paralegals should become members of the bar, meaning that you either got grandfathered in because you had so much experience or you had education that met the requirements they were looking for to be able to have the title as paralegal. Not all states are that strict about that. Florida is definitely one of them. We have to pay bar dues just like the attorneys. So I have a bar number there just like the attorneys do. Every year, I have to do continuing legal education credits just like the attorneys do. So we are paraprofessionals. We are a direct representation of the attorney that we work for or the law firm we work for, and being supervised by them. That QR code right there, I put just for an example. If you guys want to scan that if on your phone, if you're not watching on your phone, just to show you where you can do this in your own state. If you need to find an attorney, yes, you can go Google attorney near me or what type of attorney near me, but every bar association will allow you to submit like a release of information request. And you probably are going to have to pay a little bit for it, but it's well worth the time instead of you doing all of the research and putting together the spreadsheet for yourself. If you want to focus on, let's just say, estate planning, you could send a request to your bar association asking for the name, phone number, email address, point of contact, website, all of the information for every attorney within this zip code or this city or this county or whatever, and they can get it all together to you on like an Excel spreadsheet. Um, so if you want a shortcut to gather all of those attorneys' information, that is a way to do it. You can also Google, you can probably chat GPT and pull a lot of that stuff, but then you still got to organize it, put it in your CRM and all that. If you get it on a nice little Excel spreadsheet, it's much easier to kind of transfer into wherever you may need it. So just a little quick tip if you're interested in doing something like that. So, what is a law firm or a law group? A law firm is a business that is engaged in the practice of law. A law group is a group of attorneys, law firms, or legal associations that are organized of like a bunch of attorneys put together along with their support staff who all work together to offer legal services to clients. These groups range in the number of members and specializations. They leverage their collective resources and expertise and experience to address a wide array of legal issues, from routine cases to complex legal challenges. So, a law firm, if you're looking up law offices, you may see like a single named practice, like one attorney. That would be a law firm. If you see like a Morgan and Morgan, where there are offices nationwide now and hundreds, thousands of attorneys and staff that work there, that is a law group. And they form like that because a lot of law firms, they may specialize just in one type of law. That may be their specialty. They're like a boutique type firm and they focus on one area of law. Whereas a law group, they may also just focus on one area of law, but more than likely they have either attorneys in office or attorneys who are of counsel that if they have a client, let's say, who is in a divorce situation, and then there is a domestic violence case that's attached to it that becomes criminal because one of the parties was arrested, instead of that law firm losing their client to another law firm because they don't do criminal law, they may co-counsel or bring in another attorney who does do that, or they have built their professional relationships with those attorneys that they refer cases back and forth to each other, just like we do in the notary community. If we don't cover or do a certain type of notarization, or maybe you don't do apostilles or whatever, how we send things to each other is the same way law firms operate, either within their structure or within their network of other attorneys. Just a little knowledge nugget here. Sometimes you may see by an attorney's name JD or ESQ, those initials by their name. JD is a Juris Doctor. So that's their professional doctorate they get when they graduate from law school. But instead of being a doctor of law, attorneys typically use the title Esquire, which is abbreviated as the ESQ, and they put that after their name. So that's a little tidbit there if you didn't know. Okay. Esquire is a T. I don't know what that means, John. Common law firm structures. So at the top of the food pyramid, you have the managing partner. That's typically who started the firm, who owns the firm, who is overall seeing everything. But they are responsible for everybody under this structure on this page because it is their firm, it is their bar number, it is their law license at risk because they are responsible for everyone else under them, including the legal support staff, the attorneys, and the business department. Now, legal support staff consists of paralegals, legal assistants, and law clerks. Attorneys could also be called partners, associates, or of counsel. And then the business department, you have usually an office for marketing managers. You may have the bookkeeper, things of that nature. So the HR office, if the firm is big enough to have all of those things. So when you walk into a law firm, who should you talk to? Who should be your point of contact to try to get business? Like, who's the boss? Really, any of them have the ability to suggest you to be the notary who comes in and helps them on a signing. um, who has control of all of these things and what type of practice it is determines if you would be getting paid by the law firm directly, or if you would be getting paid by the client directly. And we'll touch base a little bit more on that in just a second. But you in your normal everyday life more than likely know somebody personally who works at a law firm, is an attorney, is a paralegal, is a bookkeeper at a law firm, something like that. They may be, you know, parents on your kids' sports team. You may have worked with them at a previous job. You may have needed an attorney yourself and met them and built your relationship with them as their client. So, whatever opportunity you have to get your name dropped into that office, take advantage of it. Okay? It's not as scary as some people believe it may be. How do I meet and market to attorneys? The best way, I think, other than just cold calling or emailing, is to meet them in their natural habitat, like outside of their office when they're not being an attorney or they're not at work. They do fun things. They're just normal people. These are all events and things that I have done for mixers, for, Christmas parties, for all kinds of events. The one with the dog, the Florida bar has an animal rights chapter, and every year they have fun fundraisers of stuff to help money, raise money for the pets at the animal shelters and things like that. So you can walk into these events just as a regular person and participate and get to know them and give back to a cause within your community. And while you're there, you're amongst people who could use your services. So make sure you are ready to market yourself as you're meeting and greeting and doing all of the things. And they're going to remember, oh, that's the notary that came to this event, or when they need a notary, they're going to call you before they just Google to find a stranger because you've already started to build that rapport and relationship with them out in the wild, per se. They know you're a decent person because you show up and you do things within their circle, right? So that is the best way. If you're uncomfortable with just walking into offices with your goodie bag or calling or emailing or doing any of those things, look for these events. You'll see them a lot of times on Eventbrite, on your Facebook pages. Just look for attorney focused opportunities. They always have training sessions and continuing education meetings and events and networking and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of the times they're looking for vendors too. You could even set up a table if you have the ability or the resources within your business budget to set up a table. So they have to walk up to you. If you're not comfortable walking up to them and selling yourself, let them approach you, because if they do, obviously They want to know more about your business. So, whatever works for you and your personality is the way you should approach marketing to law firms and anything else that you do within your business, I believe. So, client services that I know you guys can already provide. How many of you are loan signing agents? Drop a one in the chat if you are a loan signing agent or you do loan signings already. Look at that, going wild. How many of you already do like estate plan signings, estate services? Put a two in the comment if you do that. Have any of you ever worked with family law attorneys? Put a three in the comment if you've done that. All right, so we've got a good variety of stuff. And what about criminal attorneys? Let's drop a four if you guys have ever worked with criminal attorneys. Okay, we've got a good mix of talent out here. So more than likely, with that experience, especially those of you who do the loan signings, you probably we're told that you need all of these double tray printers and fast super duper scanning, and you need a mobile office in your car and all of these things to be able to be successful. So a lot of notaries were under the impression that they had to buy all of this very expensive equipment and do all of these things to be able to be successful. Does it help you? Absolutely. It makes things easier, it makes things faster, it makes it, more proficient in some ways. So, you've already spent the money, you already have the equipment. Let's add that stuff onto other services besides loan signing to recoup the money that you've spent on all of that equipment, because you can offer to these attorneys' offices printing, scanning, emailing. If your jurisdiction where you live, the court may have e-filing, like electronic filing of documents after they're signed to be put into the court file, that is something you could look into if you really start working with attorneys about finding out if you have the ability where you live to set yourself up an account to be able to file documents electronically with the court. If not, the old timey way, the original way that I started doing this was hand delivering the documents after they're signed back to the courthouse and getting your little deli ticket and waiting for your number to be called, right? And then you get to go meet the clerk and turn in your papers and get them stamped in. But a lot of places are more efficient than that now. So see if that is an opportunity that you do. You can meet with their clients after regular business hours, and their staff is not doing that. They're not paying their staff overtime to go meet with the client at their house or in the Waffle House parking lot at 7 o'clock, or taking this emergency motion to their client's job in the middle of the day to get it signed and notarized, because they need that person at their office billing, billing, billing. They have billable hours of what they have to meet every week, billing against cases. That's how they earn their keep. They take a retainer from their client and they have to bill against that money to earn that money from the client. So they don't want their staff spending a lot of time on what they deem administrative tasks. To us, those administrative tasks mean money, guys. So you can do all of those things. Just like you would handle any other type of signing, you already know how to pick up the phone and make the call and coordinate the signing. When, where, who, why. Do we need witnesses? Oh, by the way, if you do, I can provide those as well. We already have the skill set to do so many things in this market that so many attorneys' offices have no idea even exists. So if you don't take the opportunity to put yourself out there and educate them on what you can do to free up their calendar, they may not ever even know that this is a thing. So the other bonus why you can do this, and remember, Some of these things to those offices, this is not even billable to their clients. Some of them don't even charge for printing and scanning and email. They don't charge for that stuff. They just do it because they have to get this stuff done. But we, as the third party person that's going to come in to work on them and contract with their office, but literally be an extension of the office, we can charge for all of those things. You set your printing, scanning, emailing fees, coordination. You set the cost based upon what your state says, regarding your fee regulations. Here in Florida, the only thing they regulate is our stamp notarization fee. That's it. Anything else, I can charge whatever I want to so long as it's reasonable and it's agreed upon. So don't get crazy with it. Don't be excessive with the charges unless it is truly an emergency situation at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're driving 100 miles away to do all of these things. Then price your services accordingly, because you know what, nobody else is probably even answering their phone. So if you do luck into getting a call like that, make sure you take advantage of that opportunity by providing a service that no one else was going to do, and you should be paid accordingly. So know your worth. The most amazing thing that we can provide to these law firms, outside of just all of the stuff that we already have the equipment, the knowledge, and the skill set to do, is we are that neutral third party. We don't have a dog in the fight, right? We're not associated with that law firm or with the other law firm, with either party that they have in the case, the plaintiff, the respondent, the petitioner, the defendant. We don't represent either one of them. So we're not biased in this situation. So we have the ability that we can meet with both parties if we needed to, or you can meet with one or the other. But a lot of law firms do not want that other party coming into their office to sign or notarize documents. And they definitely do not want somebody coming in there that is a pro se party, because they don't want to ever give the appearance that they could have given legal advice to that other side. So that is where you can really play the field and get the signing on both sides of the documents if there's parties involved in both sides, like in things where family law documents specifically, they would not want, if the law firm represents the wife, they don't want the angry husband coming to their office to notarize stuff because he doesn't like them, right? So they don't want to engage with him. They want him to take those documents and get them signed somewhere else. Well, that somewhere else needs to be with you. You need to capitalize on that opportunity. So let's go through. I have made some slide charts here for you guys, different areas of law, and then common forms that are notarized is the left hand side, and then legal terms and definitions that are commonly used in those areas of law. Um, they may be called a little bit different in every area in different states. They may refer to these documents as, it might be called a different title, but overall they all mean the same thing. And they're typically very similar in name. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on going through every one of these. If you guys want to screenshot it or take a picture of it, absolutely you can. But criminal law, a lot of you said you've already worked with criminal attorneys. If you guys want to drop notes in the chat about what you did with the criminal law cases, what kind of document did you notarize? Did you go to the jail to meet with the client, or how did you meet with them? How did you meet that attorney? How did you meet up with the family maybe that needed your assistance in helping their incarcerated family member, whatever it may be? Help your cousins. You guys, this is interactive. This isn't just me here to talk to you on Saturday. We're here to learn and grow together. So drop your real life scenarios and situations in the chat and share. Please be interactive with this. So these are the criminal law ones. We've got plea agreements, we've got affidavits, we've got waivers of rights, expungement applications. powers of attorneys. You know, a lot of times somebody gets locked up, they get pulled over, they've got drugs on them, or they get a DUI. Guess what? Their car gets impounded. So what happens? The car gets towed away. Now for somebody to be able to get that car out of the impound lot because it's incurring storage fees every day while they're in the pokey, they've got to give a power of attorney to somebody to go get that car if it's been released. Things like that. So there are some things that are going to run parallel across different areas of law. Like a power of attorney is not just a power of attorney. Every type of law or every situation, that form could apply across the board. So just know what your rules are when it comes to those things in your state. Like here in Florida, we have to have two witnesses on a power of attorney every time. So just knowing what your law and your statute says about these things, so when the call comes, you know what to do and how to handle it. Okay. All right. So that's the criminal law. We have family law. Family law, divorce decrees. Here in Florida, they call it a final judgment. Some places call it a divorce decree, meaning it's, citing everything that they decided in the divorce. There's different names for it all over the place, but it's all the same thing. It's just titled differently. We've got child support agreements, adoption papers. Adoption attorneys in and of itself are usually a whole set aside that's all they do, because adoption law is very hyper focused and constantly changing of the law. So usually an adoption attorney will be separate from all of these other types of attorneys. So if you've never done that, not only is it such a rewarding experience to be a part of, to see a baby or a child get taken out of a not so good situation where either, maybe they're not loved or they're not wanted or they can't be cared for properly, and being able to be put into a family that wants them and loves them and adores them, being part of that transfer and being there with those families, it is such an emotional signing, but it is one of the most rewarding types of signings that you will ever do. If you've never had the opportunity to do so and you think your feelings can handle that, I would definitely look at trying to find an adoption attorney in your area. um, Prenuptial agreements, that's the agreement that people sign before they get married. Post-nuptial agreement is an agreement that they've already gotten married and now something has happened, and they need to protect assets, or they decide, okay, we want to, get this inheritance from grandma, but I don't want the other person to ever get their hands on it if we get divorced. That may be a topic of something that's put into a post-nuptial agreement, that this is my inheritance and it's going to go in this account and you can't have any of it. It's just an example. Again, it's not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I cannot give you legal advice, right? But just living within this realm of 19 years, I can freely talk about legal education, not advice. So, guardianship orders is another one. Financial affidavits, or any type of form that says affidavit, typically is going to be notarized, right? And most times it is going to have jurat language. You are going to need to swear them in, because the affidavit is them making a sworn statement in writing, pretty much. Mandatory disclosure, or giving their financial documents to each other. Those documents typically need to be notarized. Common terms, custody, alimony. Petitioner respondent. This is a good one, because in some areas of law, the person who filed the case is called the petitioner. But in other areas of law, that person is titled the plaintiff. They are the same thing, but depending on what type of law the case is related to, they go by a different title. Now, the person who's being sued or the case is being filed against is either the respondent or the defendant. They are the same thing, but again, two different titles because of different areas of law. So let me give you an example why this would be important. And you want to look this up in your specific state to see if they have other titles as well that they may go under in different areas. But these are the most common. So in a family law case, let's say the wife is just sick of her husband and she goes and files for divorce. She is the petitioner, and once he got served the documents, whatever, he will be the respondent, meaning he is the one responding to the lawsuit. Okay. Now, let's say this same couple, the husband got mad that he got served for divorce, and he goes to the wife's job and smashes the windows out of her car and goes crazy and does all of this bad stuff. And she calls the police, he gets arrested, he goes to jail. Okay. She would have filed the complaint with, now with that he got arrested, it would then be probably the state of whatever against him for the criminal charges. But if she wanted to file for like a protection order against him to keep him away because now she's afraid of him, in that part of the case, that would be in criminal law. Then when she filed, she would be like the plaintiff here, and the husband would be the defendant. See, they're the same people in the same situation. She's filing both sides, but they're titled different things on the other side of the fence because of a different type of law. So, same thing goes for like personal injury cases or med mal. It would be the same thing. If you got hit in a car accident and you had to file a claim against someone else, you would be the plaintiff, and the person that hit you or caused the accident would be the defendant. So that's how that language transfers over. Speaking of personal injury and medical malpractice, these are highly litigious cases that can go on for sometimes years and years and years. Medical release forms, settlements, releases of liability, again, powers of attorneys, affidavits of injuries, contingency fee agreements. Those are all things that a lot of times will need notarized. Common terms you need to know: liability, damages, negligence, tort, and then see, here we go, plaintiff and defendant. So those things are there. Oh, wait, somebody said my screen is not visible. Can you guys see my
No,
screen?
your screen is visible. Uh-huh.
Okay. You can see the slides all the way?
I can see the slides all the way. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, somebody said the bottom was cut off. Okay, estate and elder law. That's me and my grandpa. Look at him, he was so cute. Common forms that need notarized in this: you're going to have wills and codicils, trust documents, durable powers of attorney. You may have healthcare powers of attorney. You may have financial powers of attorney. There may be powers of attorney for one specific thing or another, and they may give different powers to different children or different people because everybody can't agree and can't get along. This is one of those areas of law that can become very highly litigious because a lot of times the person who is signing these documents is the one who is older or is going to be leaving things, and everybody else in the family or whatever feels entitled to or thinks that these things should be going to them because they're the best grandkid, or they were the kid who did all of the things, they're their favorite, or whatever it may be. So these signings sometimes can be a little emotional as well, depending on when you come into the process. And also the timing of when it's done. If somebody does these forms, when they're, in their 30s, 40s, whatever, and they haven't even had kids yet or any of that stuff, it's not so tension related. But let's say grandma or grandpa now is in the hospital and they're telling them, oh, this isn't good. They're going to be leaving here and going to hospice. And now the family's in a panic and needs to get all of these forms done before the family member gets to the point that they're either incapacitated and can't perform the notarization, or they pass away very quickly. So tensions are typically running high because this wasn't pre-planned, it wasn't thought out, it's rushed. Everybody's already upset and worried about the situation, about what's going to happen and all of that stuff. Yes, that one, Christine, living will is the last thing on that slide. So healthcare surrogates, that may or may not need to be notarized in your state. Here in Florida, it used to have to be. Now it just needs witnesses. It doesn't need notarized. Um, Living wills and advance directives. If you haven't had that course or you're interested in doing that, really learn this, because when these documents come into play, there is no do-over. The person who gave the will, or it was their trust, if they've now passed away and the notarization wasn't done correctly, it's going to be a problem. So this isn't something that you can rely on, like getting a loan signing through a signing service where somebody's going to be double checking your work when you send it back through. When you send your scans back, somebody else is looking at it, double checking it, and being like, oh, you missed this checkbox, or you missed these initials, or you signed but you didn't stamp, those kinds of things. This type of law generally does not get those second set of eyes on it. Sometimes these documents may go back to the attorney's office that helped drafted them so they can scan and keep a copy electronically, but a lot of times they don't. You will leave these documents right with the person who signed them, and whatever happens to them from there, they get put under the mattress or in a safety deposit box or whatever, and they're not ever pulled out and looked at again until it's time when they're needed. And unfortunately, I have heard too many horrible stories of notaries calling me over the years crying that they missed a stamp, or something wasn't done correctly, and now this case is going to have to go through probate, and they're being subpoenaed to court to, answer questions about things with this. So if you are going to take on estate planning signings, please, please take this seriously. This is this is somebody's life savings. Everything that they wanted is going into these documents. Their final wishes, what they want to happen with everything when they're gone. And if it's not done correctly and it's at your error, can you imagine how horrible you would feel making this family go through this long-term process of grief, and having to keep reliving this for years and years and years, when it could have been done correctly if you would have just slowed down and paid attention to what you were doing, and before you rushed off to your next signing, that you took a few seconds to double check your own work. Please take this seriously, guys, because you may not get another chance to fix these documents. All right, civil litigation. This is like more business law related, can be like in tax law. It can be all kinds of things. If it's not a specialty type law, it'll more than likely just get dumped into civil category, like small claims court, things like that. If you're going to sue your neighbor because they drove through your yard and whatever, little things like that happen in civil litigation. But there's also huge multi-million dollar transactions and business litigation that happens within civil litigation as well. Common things, you're going to have a lot of, again, affidavits. There's going to be depositions. So if you're interested in digital court reporting, this is one that is really big with that. Doing sworn statements, settlement agreements, and verification of pleadings, or maybe copy certifications. I don't have on here, but more and more lately, I have done a lot of copy certifications for different things within litigation. So if you are able, as a notary in the state you're in, to do copy certifications, that is also something that you should mention. You have the ability to do through through your networking and communicating with these attorneys and their clients. So let's wrap this up so we have time for Q&A. We take care of our own clients as notaries, so we can take care of theirs too. Becoming a valuable notary for a law firm means understanding your legal terms, documents, and strengthening your notary services. You should tailor your approach to different areas of law to reach maximum impact. Remember that law firms rely on notaries for essential legal work. To become their trusted partner is what you need to be doing. And continue your education. Pay attention to your statute and the changes to the law. Stay ahead and provide superior service. So, this, if you guys screenshot this, if you want to email me, I can email you the format too, so you don't have to retype it. I'm gonna put Melissa at notarizingtampa.com. I think I spelled that right. This is my call to action for you guys. So this weekend, I want you to send this email to 5 attorneys or law firms that you would like to work with. I mean, I have already drafted it for you, okay? Did I do it wrong? Somebody, oh, Marcy put it. I was like, did I spell it wrong? I may have. So I want you to say, dear attorney or law firm, or if you want to make it funny and you know somebody at the front desk, make it a funny spin like, dear paralegal, I know you have too much on your plate already. That would catch my attention as the paralegal. If I get a dear law firm X, I'm like 50 of these a day. Delete, delete, delete. How do you get past the delete button? How do you get into somebody's attention? You want them to respond to you. You want them to save your information. You want them to reply. So my call to action is to you. Your call to action is to get responses from these attorneys. Okay. So dear whoever, make it a catchy subject line, customize it, don't make it generic, right? Make it, say it's the law firm is called Smith and Associates. Put, did you know I am the preferred notary for Smith and Associates? And they're going to be like, who? What? Who is this? You got to catch their attention, right? So you're going to say, my name is, put in your name. I am a commissioned notary in this state with X amount of years. If you have been a notary for 2 weeks, if you've been a notary for a few months, you probably want to leave that part out because they may not think you have enough skin in the game to be an extension of their office. So just leave out the amount of time that you've been the notary, but make sure you have the ability to do what you tell them you're going to be able to do, okay? Don't sell yourself to them and then not be able to provide the services and the quality that you're representing yourself to do, because you will get yourself kicked right out of there and never get another call back. So you're going to say you are providing professional notary services. And in addition, I hold, put in whatever special credentials you have. Like I'm NNA certified, spell it out, National Notary Association certified. Because if they're not a notary, they're not going to know what NNA stands for. Just like they're not going to know if you say, I'm a Ron, they're not going to know what that even means. So spell those things out for them. And then you can put the acronym if you want to so they understand it. But highlight your special set of skills. Like you're NNA certified, you're a certified notary trust delivery agent, you are a remote online notary, you're loan signing system certified, whatever it may be. And I'm ensuring that your documents are handled with the highest level of care and compliance. Next paragraph. I work with law firms like yours to provide seamless, dependable support for both in-person and remote online notarizations. Now, if you don't, take out the one that you don't want to market yourself for. But if you do both, you do both. Beyond notarization, I also assist with document printing, scanning, delivery, client coordination, helping reduce administrative burdens so your staff can focus on billable work. Here's how I can support your firm: flexible scheduling, evenings, weekends, emergency requests, mobile notary services at your office, at the courthouse, or at your client's home, remote online notarization for faster turnaround when clients cannot meet in person. Again, if that doesn't apply to you, it doesn't unless you have somebody that you can kick that remote online notary over to and still make your money. Like if you get the client that calls you and they say, "Oh yeah, we want to do that," and you have the ability to do it in your state, but you're not Ron, like I don't do Ron at this time, but I have a whole team of notary cousins who do. So if one of my clients needs this done, and their client may be out of state or out of the country or whatever, sure, send it over to me. We'll get it taken care of for you. Am I doing it? No, but I'm going to make sure it gets done, and I'm going to double check it, making sure that it's done correctly before I get it back to my law firm client. So then I get the signing. I pass it on to one of my Ron notary cousins who makes their money, and I make my money on it too because I'm facilitating this whole coordination of this transaction happening. You can also do printing, scanning, secure delivery of executed documents. And then give them their call to action. I'd love the opportunity to introduce myself further and learn more about your firm's needs. Would you be open to scheduling a quick call or meeting in person to discuss how I could be a resource to your team? You can reach me at your phone number or your email, period, and I'd be happy to work with your schedule. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to the possibility of working and supporting, put in their law firm, or just say supporting you and your staff, whatever you want it to be. And then your closeout, right? One thing about sending this email, do not put a bunch of hyperlinks. Do not put links like to your website or your Google reviews or a scheduling app or things like that, because law firms have become big targets for phishing scams. So this email may never get through their server to even get to them if you have all those links and attachments and all that kind of stuff in there. Start out with just this clean, concise email. And then if you don't hear back by the email in a couple days, if you have the ability, the 5 companies or 5 law firms you send this to this weekend, later on in the week, either pick up the phone and call them and say, "Hey, following up, I sent you guys an email, last weekend, just wanted to touch base and see if I could schedule a time to come in and talk to somebody." Or if you're bold enough and you like to do in-person marketing because you got that personality or your little goodie bags are ready to go, whatever your thing is, show up at the office and follow up with it. But be aware, those offices are busy. Those people do not like walk-ins. They have a full structured day, plus whatever emergencies happen or new clients fall into their lap across the day. So you walking in, interrupting their day about trying to sell them your service is not always going to go over well. You need to have pre-planned and time set aside for you to get a warm reception. That always works better, all right? So one more, I think. Ooh, wrong direction. So email me. I will send you that email so you guys can copy and paste it and get to work. Q&A time. Where to find me: website notarizingtampa.com, my LinkedIn, and I am at Notarizing Tampa on every social platform, and that is my phone number. So if you have a question, you need to reach out or follow up with anything, shoot me an email, send me a text, whatever. I'm here as a valuable resource to you guys for whatever you need related to this topic.
Thank you, Melissa. Let me get a couple of questions. I do want to say quickly, someone said, what if you're new? Here's the thing. I want to say this from my perspective as someone who gets a lot of work from attorneys. Almost all of my work comes in by word of mouth. I very rarely have to market to them. They just give my names out to their colleagues. The same goes for if you overpromise and underdeliver, they're also going to let their colleagues know not to use you. So you can be new, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you can do, like Melissa said, all of the things that you're telling them to do. You do not want to get a bad reputation in the attorney community. They talk to one another, and you don't want that to happen. You want to get that work word of mouth because you've done a great job. Would you agree with that, Melissa?
Absolutely. because they talk. Believe
Mhm.
me, these attorneys talk. And you've got one opportunity to either make the this is my girl, this is my notary list, or do not ever call this person again list. Okay?
So someone wants to know, can you please go over asking the state bar group for lists of lawyers again?
You're going to want to look at your state bar association, and sometimes you have a state bar, and then sometimes you even have one like a county or a city, because where you're at may be so big that they also have sub jurisdictions. So look for whatever county you live in, bar association. Whatever city you live in, bar association. Whatever state you live in, bar association, and you will find the links to all of those. Now, when you
And paralegal
contact them,
associations, right, Melissa? Paralegal associations
there
too.
are paralegal
Yeah.
associations as well, legal assistants. There's tons of different things. But usually, when you get to the main pages, you'll see the other sources of people to get through. But that request I referred to was like a release of information. You're wanting to get a summary roll up of all of the attorneys for whatever specific thing you want to know them about. So if you want to focus on all estate planning attorneys within Tampa or Hillsborough County or whatever, you give them as much specifics as you can, because those bar profiles for the attorneys and the law firms are set up that they have all of those fields already. So it's easy for them to pull that report and put it together for you. And it's nice and summarized, and then you just know you've got a little checklist for yourself right there. I can call Bob Smith at Smith and Associates at this phone number, and this is his email, and then you can just check them off your list. Did you contact them? Yes. And a week from now, follow up with them. Did you talk? Did you ever get a response? Did you go to their office? Did you send an email? Did you show up with a goodie bag? Did you get time on their calendar? You know, track these things so you know who you've worked with. And then once you've got one of those attorneys on your hook and line and you start doing work for them, it's okay when you go to the next one to name drop and be like, that might be their competition, right? So when you go into that, you can say, oh, I would love to work with you guys. I do a lot of work for Bob Smith and Smith and Associates. Him and his firm and their clients just love what I do and the services I provide. And I have some free time that has shifted on my calendar, and I was looking to see if you'd like to, discuss that same situation. Because if Bob has it and Bob's their competition down the street, guess what? They want it too. So name drop. It's okay. They like it.
Do you have any recommendations for legal templates as a non-lawyer notary? I would like to offer those services to people.
That's a tricky question
Mhm.
because it can borderline UPL, and you should not be preparing documents and notarizing the same documents. I don't think in any state, as far as I know. So you walking a tight line there. It also puts you in the position to where if you're not a legal document preparer, if your state offers that training and certification, then look into that within your state. But I do believe no matter what state you're in, you cannot, if you prepare the documents, you cannot then turn around and notarize the documents. So then which way is it more beneficial for you? If you look on my website, I have a link for a place called Mama Bear Forms. Like, because I do a lot of things with kids, parents who, if their kids are graduating or going to college or whatever it may be, that if they're like, well, we just need a power of attorney for our kid that's leaving to college, they can go on that website and create their own forms and do all of that stuff for like 79 bucks, 89 bucks. They have all these different template packages, and they get the forms. They feel like I gave them a resource, that I just referred them of some place that I know people have used over and over again. The forms get sent to them in very clean, concise production with instructions, all of that kind of stuff. They're very easy to notarize. And now you haven't just turned your caller away, because even though they didn't have the form you needed right now, you gave them a way to go get them, and tell them when you do get them ready, just give me a call and we'll get it scheduled for the notarization. So you've solved their problem without being the one to solve it. You just sent them in the right direction. And they're going to remember that you took that couple extra seconds to help them out and get them going in the right direction. And they're going to call you back to do the notarization when the time is there. So just having those resources to refer things to. Also, when you're marketing yourself to these attorneys, being able to let them know you would love to establish that relationship with them, because a lot of times when you're out in the wild doing notary work, or people will contact you or call you and say, I need a power of attorney. Can you do it? No, I can't do it, but I know this attorney who can. You can be a referral source to them by you're getting calls in of people that need these things. You refer the work to them. They produce the documents, give you the document back, and then you take the document, go get it notarized. Everybody wins. Problem solved. Everybody wins. You referred to them, they kicked it back to you. Now everybody made money, and the client got what they needed, and the notarization completed. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Everybody's happy.
Louisiana notaries, they have additional special powers over the rest of us don't. So if you were a Louisiana notary who asked, or you're in Louisiana, you can prepare documents in your state. The rest of us cannot. Melissa, this was amazing information. I appreciate it. Everyone in the chat, I see like all of the, hey, thanks, Melissa. This was amazing. Thank you so much. We appreciated you. Congratulations again on your NNA influencer nomination. We're super excited for you. Thank you to everyone who joined us this morning. I know it's a Saturday. Your time is valuable. I so appreciate that you took time out of your day to spend with us. I hope you're all going to have a great weekend. I hope that you come back for the rest of the sessions today. Otherwise, thank you all again. Thank you, Melissa. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.